For what we've done for how we did our game for Hunted, it was a mixture of us wanting to do something horror related and us trying to figure out some sort of chase mechanic that we're going to implement into the game. So we wanted to try to emulate that into the trailer. So the first thing we did with our storyboard, we went with a mixture of trying to get parts around the college and then getting some of the surrounding outside so that we could kind of get like you're moving from one place to another for some concern of something. Then the next part was for actors and stuff. We didn't really have any actors for what we were actually doing. It was more just audio engineering for what we're doing with that. So we didn't actually have anyone in it, but it actually ends up accentuating the fact that you're alone throughout the actual trailer. And when we get into the camera shots, we have some stills. This one here is actually a pan shot. Not a pan, is actually a zoom shot. And then we have a few stills, such as if we go to here, this was a still shot. And then we had a few other zooms and a few pans, amongst other things. Like right there, we have a pan. And then we have a shot that I did in two of the shots that kind of look like zooms, but they're not really. It's called a truck, where it's instead of just zooming with the camera, you actually physically move your whole body either forward or backwards with the shot. Kind of like what my cameraman, Peter, there is doing. So you could kind of get the idea. It gives it more of a sense of you getting closer without actually impacting the focus of the video that you're getting. So sometimes it's just better to do that. Then for the dialogue, it wasn't really dialogue per se, but we focused a lot more on the Foley sound aspect of it. So I went through and I grabbed a bunch of different sound effects and off free source sites and stuff like that. And I ended up bringing them in and editing them myself in Final Cut here to get all the different sound effects that we needed, and ended up splicing through different parts so that we got exactly the right bits that we wanted. And then I had to mess with the gain, which is how loud the audio is and how much it comes through in the video. Like the music, that was blaring at first, so I had to turn that way down, and then I had to mess with the audio for the breathing, because that ended up needing to be hiked so that it had some more impact in certain spots. Then we got into the actual editing, which was a combination of Final Cut here, of what I'm using, which allows us to use a linear editing style mixed with non-linear editing, which is kind of better because you kind of like, if you don't know what you're actually going for with your storyboard, you can kind of get away with a few extra things. So you get all the structure from a linear editing, which is placing down each clip exactly, and a non-linear, which is placing things over top of other things, like I've done earlier in this clip. You can see how I just overlaid stuff right over, because some of the stuff we were reusing, so it didn't seem like we needed to actually. If you want a good flow, it works better if you just have the full clip instead of having to cut it up into little bits and then splice more video in there. It takes a lot more time, it's a lot harder, and it never really comes out right. Then I also used Adobe After Effects for some of the animations. So what we have here, this entire animation for the text was all one thing. All of it fading in, fading out, the transition from all of the different colors and the background stuff, all that's different animations that actually end up being a lot of different things, having like 30 different tabs in each little animation text box. So it ends up taking a little bit of time, but when you get it right, it ends up coming up with something pretty cool. And hopefully we made a pretty cool trailer that all of you liked. So have a good day.